Hi, I'm Eric Judy.
And I'm Dick Van Dyke. Today we want to talk about immediate annuities and do a little comparison with immediate annuities and why you might consider an immediate annuity.
Yeah, one of the things we often hear in today's world where you have this hybrid annuity, which gives you a lifetime income as well as some other bonuses, extras. Why would you ever want to actually look at using an immediate annuity where you're going to give up your asset?
Right, and that is the difference, Eric, when we think about the hybrid annuity, is it's kind of your cake and eat it too annuity, where you can get your lifetime income, but you don't have to give up your asset. And yet, there is a place for an immediate annuity, and an immediate annuity. And in fact, let's do a little history lesson. How about some trivia here? When we think about an immediate annuity, it literally goes back to the early Roman Empire, and they called it the annua, and that's where the word annuity comes from. So it's a very early form of an annuity, and it's really went through the test of time, spanned the centuries. So,
So next time you got your toga on, you'll know
right.
that you get your NUA language out. So and that's exactly it's an old standard. It was the
Right.
first kind of annuity out there,
Right.
the standard lifetime annuity.
Right.
You gave up a lump sum and you got a lifetime income stream.
It is probably the truest pension style income. In fact, immediate annuities, a lot of companies will offer a choice of a lump sum or an immediate annuity.
Well, and I talked about immediate annuities with a lot of clients when they're saying, "Hey, I've got a 401k. I want a lifetime income.
Right.
What can I do to get my own personal pension?" And
Yes.
that's kind of how we think of it. And the thing is, you're usually giving up that 401k in exchange for that lifetime income stream. Now,
Yes.
the big thing here is you realize that none of those dollars are going on to heirs or
Yes.
and that's
Well, in a true pension, there's no money in a pension as a rule. I mean, when you have a pension, when you pass, the money ends, or if you've chosen a survivorship option, you've probably taken a little bit lower payment on your pension, and then some of those payments will go on to perhaps a spouse.
Right, exactly. And I grew up, my parents were educators, so they had a traditional kind of benefit program where they have a retirement that's there as long as they live.
Yes.
Yeah. The bad thing is once they're gone, nothing goes on to me. Being a little self-serving here now.
Right.
The 401k plan.
Why didn't they get a hybrid annuity?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Why can't they get a hybrid or So when they're looking at it, that's the old style. The hybrid, on the other hand, allows you to pass some of those dollars on to heirs,
Right.
typically,
Right.
depending
Right.
on.
So really, where the immediate annuity fits, let's just give some examples of someone who really wants to start income right now.
Yeah, and you're gonna with a traditional immediate annuity, typically you're gonna get a higher payout than you would with
Yes.
a hybrid. You're gonna
Yeah.
start with a little bit higher.
Typically, but we have seen a few instances
Right.
where you got to run some illustrations
Right,
to know.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that when people are going that direction, that's usually the reason. They
General
want
assumption you're going to get more
a
income.
little bit more, a higher percentage to start with. Typically.
Right, right. And then the other key factor would be that perhaps if you're going to use an immediate, that you really aren't as concerned about getting money over to heirs.
Right. Now, are there ways to get money onto either survivors or heirs? And that's one of the things
With an immediate?
An immediate annuity.
Right.
You can structure it so that it's a joint lifetime payout. So if you and a spouse
Correct.
purchase an immediate annuity, you can set it up so it's the lifetime of both of you or either of you.
Yes.
Whoever lives the longest, those payments will continue. And there's little tweaks that you can even do there where you can set it up so that once one passes, it sometimes reduces by
A percentage, so they only get 3/4 or 1/2 of the annuity.
Right.
Right.
And the other way that you can somewhat pass on dollars to heirs is there are a couple things. You could do a period certain where it's
Right.
lifetime with a certain number of years guaranteed. So a lot of times you'll see somebody do a lifetime annuity with 20 years guaranteed.
Correct.
And so that 20 years of payments is guaranteed.
So if I pass in 5 years, somebody's going to get another 15 years of payments.
Correct.
But what does that do to my income when
It's going to reduce your payout. and that's you have to realize going in, if your goal is the highest payout possible, you don't want to add any of these other pieces. But
Yes.
if you're wanting to try to pass on money to somebody, that's a way of guaranteeing basically that some of that comes back. And one of the things I always look at is that either the installment refund or the cash refund which says once you purchase the immediate annuity, if you haven't gotten back at least what you paid in principal wise,
Yes.
that amount will be refunded either to your heirs or to your estate.
Well,
or
isn't that the installment refund or?
the installment refund keeps the payments coming
Yes.
back to your return of principal.
Okay, so you're talking about the full lump sum.
There's
transfer,
also
right,
just a refund
of what didn't
of
get
premium,
paid
whatever
out,
you.
right.
So it's either a lump sum or an installment refund. So
Right. One of the biggest vulnerabilities that I think, Eric and I look at with our clients, and what we think you should be concerned about is inflation. That is probably one of the biggest vulnerabilities we face. We have had historic inflation, last 4 decades of over 4%.
yeah.
We believe that the stage is really set for some higher inflation over the next 2 or 3 decades, which is going to cover most retirees.
Right.
So if we would happen to go through a stretch of 4 or 5%, I'm not talking about runaway, hyper, third world country inflation, but if we're talking 4, 4.5, 5, 6% inflation, that makes that immediate annuity, if you have no inflation cost of living adjustment, a COLA on it, it really puts you at a disadvantage.
Yeah, especially if you've got longevity in what you're
Right,
looking at.
right.
Because you realize you're taking a level payment and you're stretching it over your lifetime. So
Yes.
your purchasing power is going to diminish with inflation.
Right. So one of the things that we do suggest very strongly is that whatever type of annuity, whether it's an immediate annuity, a hybrid annuity, a deferred annuity where you're deferring it for a long time, that you're really taking inflation into account. There's different ways to structure for inflation, but if you're not taking it into account, you're really setting yourself up for a bad situation.
Right. So and that's another aspect that you can add to an immediate annuity.
Yes.
Some of them will, you can add a cost of living adjustment. Others have a
Tied
fixed
to a
percentage.
consumer price index or a fixed percentage, right?
So those are things you can add, but
Right.
you realize you're going to start lower.
Your payments are going to start lower, right?
So it's all about the trade-offs.
I love the idea of a real cost of living adjustment. So if things get carried away,
Right.
and we start seeing 5, 6% inflation, we've covered a major vulnerability in a retirement plan.
Yes. So and that's always and that's where we're looking at here. When we're looking at immediate annuities, we're looking at you creating your own personal pension.
Yes, that's right.
So it's if you're into this marketplace where you're going to create a personal pension, and you have that magic number, that you need to hit, and you can kind of anticipate the growth. That's where this product really kind of fits.
So if we're going to kind of wind up, this discussion on immediate annuities being a true pension style income, where would we summarize that this is going to fit? What type of person should buy an immediate annuity? Should really consider it for their retirement portfolio?
And I always say it's someone with no errors
Okay.
that doesn't have to worry about passing on dollars to somebody in the future. They're not worried about that. They want the highest payout now, and really that's really the person that I start with, and that's
right. And I think that in winding this up, we just want to say, do a fair comparison. You may be the ideal person for an immediate annuity, but get with a professional advisor, run some illustrations, compare it, because we have actually seen situations where a hybrid annuity can right off the bat outperform an immediate annuity. It's not often, but it does happen.
Yeah.
So
Very good.
thank you.
Have a great day.